Well, I got a notification that I'm live. I am live. I am live. Live, live, live. Do, 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 do. Live streaming on a Saturday morning. Where is everyone? It is 8 o'clock. Good morning, Nona. It's a crying shame. Gamma, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Quick announcement. We've been having issues with our internet, and we just finally it came back up. So hopefully, cross our fingers that it stays up and running. It was supposed to be up and running at 7 a.m. this morning, but at 7:30, I made a community post saying, "Hey, I don't know what the hell's going on here." And then, like 15 minutes later, ta-da, it came back working. Good morning, okie dokie. It's good to see everyone as well. Hope we're all having a wonderful weekend. Hope you stay safe and relax. Gina Marie, good morning. Hello from Layton, Utah. I'm not familiar with Layton, Utah. I've been to Utah quite a few times, but not Layton. At least I don't remember it. Rebecca Crow. Reba Crow. Sorry, Reba, not Rebecca. Good morning, Will. I watched your live yesterday from Denham Springs, Louisiana. Love your channel and you. Thank you, Reba. Anna Soar. It's Saturday evening here, so great to see you. Thank you, Anna, and welcome, Kevin. Good morning from South Carolina. South Carolina. I got friends down in North Carolina. They like it down there. But I'm sure South Carolina is just as beautiful. 20 miles north of SLC, Utah. Oh, okay. Teddy Rose, good morning. Good morning, Teddy Rose. It is 4 p.m. over the pond where Gamma is. 4 p.m. It is 8:03 a.m. here. I'm on the west coast of the United States, so depending on which direction you go, take a long time to get to where Gamma is. It's a crying shame. I am doing fine. It's a crying shame. Cinnamon, hot, hot, hot. Good morning, Cinnamon. Oh, thank you, Gamma. We all love you too. I haven't had a chance to watch your last video. It came up on my newsfeed. I'll watch it after this stream this morning. You guys haven't checked out Gemma's channel. It's spelled the same way as her screen name there. Gemma's Journey Grace. Go check out her channel. Good morning, Tina. I'm sitting here. I'm looking at the strength of the internet. It's going from four bars to one. So if there's audio or if the video freezes, that's all on me. That I think what they're doing is they're upgrading the equipment to 4G or whatever it is. We got some letter in the mail about it about a month ago, and we thought that was going to be done this morning by 7 a.m. But apparently they were about a half hour, 45 minutes late getting the entire system back up and running. But it's working now. It's just bouncing all over the place. Georgia Bulldogs whip the South Carolina Gamecocks. College football. I haven't watched any college football in a while. Good morning, Meep Meep. Oh, sorry, just Meep now. Meep. Good morning. Like a diamond. Purple, good morning. Gemma. I'm glad football's back either way. College football, NFL, one of them. I enjoy watching it. Me and most of my friends we play fantasy football, as my wife calls it, D&D for jocks. We enjoy it though. I run one league on the NFL Network. We got 12 guys in that. It's fun though. It's something to do, passes the time. I don't think any of us really take it too seriously. It's not like, oh my God, I have to win. Just a friendly side, kind of interest. Good morning, Kelly P. Welcome to this morning's chat. People don't like to repeat themselves. So I'm just always going to remember it as Meep Meep. But just Meep is good. It's interesting. It's like some people I remember, they may have changed their names, screen names completely, but I still remember, what their original name is. It's like I have a friend who she's been a subscriber since I think 2018 to my channel, but she's changed her screen name, I think 5 or 6 times, since 2018. But every time I see her new name, I automatically in my mind I always go back to the first one. My Cleveland Browns won. Feel sorry for the Cleveland Browns. I really, the entire thing over the quarterback. I don't get it. Yeah, Baker Mayfield did a hell of a job. Even when he was injured, he still played. He still did everything that he was told to do, and expected to do. There were some shoddy, calls, and questionable things that happened with the coaching. But then they decide to go out and get, Mr. Deshaun Watson, and he's going to be what, 11 games suspension. And then they had to have known about that. But if you look at the contract that he signed. Francie, good morning. What are we talking about? I was wondering about the motion of Lorryville's mom's case. Anna, I'm not. Lorryville's mom case. I'm not familiar with that case, Anna. We're talking about Lori Vallow. Familiar with that one. Louise, good morning, Louise from Michigan. Welcome to this morning's chat. Anna, we're talking about anything and everything whatever you want to talk about. Lori Hellis. Which one? The request to ban cameras or the request from Lori Hellis? Lori Hellis, I couldn't do it justice to actually describe what's really going on with the Lori Hellis. Lori Hellis, the former attorney Now, I guess she didn't renew her license to practice law, but she's a writer now. In the Vallow case, but I couldn't do it justice. If you want to watch somebody actually break it down and go through the letter that Lori Hallis sent to the Idaho State Supreme Court, Scott Reisch over on Crime Talk, he did an excellent video, I think Thursday, on that. He can explain it a lot better than I could ever do it. The one to ban cameras in the Lori Vallow case, right now, the judge has not ruled on if he's going to ban cameras at all. But at the same time, that's all plays into it. And Lori Hallis actually addressed that in the letter on top of, the ban and the secret closed door meetings that the judge keeps on having in that case. She wrote in the letter, I think it was on page 2, where she addressed the actual banning of cameras and access to an open court system. So, but again, Scott Reisch on Crime Talk here on YouTube. It's not the best of ideas, for one creator to say, hey, you know what, I can't do this justice. Why don't you go watch another channel? But I'm going to be truthful about it. I couldn't break it down and explain it, correctly. He did, though. I want to say thank you for your kind words, Will. Really are appreciated. Gemma, I truly stand by everything that I said. Thank you very much for being here. You need to be here, and it worries me when somebody has decided, in the case that you did, to censor yourself or remove yourself from the eyes of the public, because you're a beacon of light for so many people with disabilities, and barriers to education. And you add insight into autism from a perspective that a lot of parents, and there are a lot of us out here we have young children, they're 5, 7, 8 years old, and we have a lot of questions, but we don't have a lot of answers. We can read the textbook and get an answer, but when putting that into perspective of how that someone with the on the spectrum is able to live their life and be independent, these are things that a lot of parents with children of autism on the spectrum, we worry about. And it's great for us to be able to find your content and see that you're making a go of it. We're all going to make fumbles. We're all going to put our better judgment in the wrong people. That's part of being alive and being human, Gemma, sweetheart. Sorry, but we all make mistakes. We learn from our mistakes, and that's what makes us grow and get better, and have a happier life. Just keep that in mind. Apparently, Chad Daybell lived in Ogden, Utah, where I worked one time. He worked for Ogden Stand. I was reading that. Where'd it go? Come back here. Comment. Standard Examiner by where I worked. Interesting to know. I know he lived in Ogden, and he was actually pretty into the LDS church there, the Church of Latter-day Saints, before relocating to Idaho. Tammy was very involved in the church there as well. Frank, Will, do you think there are many adults never diagnosed with autism, Asperger's? Yes, and I actually have an answer to that question. 1 second. That's Gabby Petito. Give me a minute. I actually have it here in this stack of papers. Okay. Found it. according to research, the last time the ASD was studied, the latest estimates suggest about 1 out of every 68 children have are on the spectrum at some point, somewhere on the spectrum. Either you have to look at it as a scale, okay, for autism. When it comes to adults, now, first off, boys are more likely to have autism than girls. That's the first thing. 32% of adults born between 1970 and 1980 have never been diagnosed or tested if they're on the spectrum from between 1970 and 1980. 48% of adults born between 1950 and 1969 have never been tested. According to the latest studies, this was 2020 was the last time that they actually studied it. There are approximately 4 million people who are believed to be on the spectrum who have never been tested. Adults, that's adults, 4 million adults who have never been, who are on the spectrum. So to answer your question, yes, there are a lot of people who are on the spectrum who have never been tested. And they're very there are online quizzes that you can just Google it to where you can kind of like get an idea if you may be on the spectrum or someone you know is on the spectrum. So I hope that answers your question. Though here in the UK where I am, I was misdiagnosed 6 times. Wow. 6 times the ratio in the UK, 3 boys to every 1 girl. I know from my son, he wasn't misdiagnosed necessarily. They didn't know. We had him tested early on, but we already knew because the genetic testing that we had done that the likelihood was, when he was a toddler, that he was going to be on the spectrum somewhere. But we had him tested, and it wasn't that he was misdiagnosed. It's just they never really completed the testing because they wait until they get to the point where they're a little bit older. They can do it genetically, and they can do it, and say, okay, there's a likelihood, that autism is here, but over here they can't really diagnose them until I think they have to be 3. But they never completed the testing, and then we took him back because there isn't a doctor in our area who actually specializes in diagnosis of autism. So we had to take my son, I think it's about 250 miles away to an actual doctor who specializes in it. Good morning, Gone Girl. What could be causing this, Kelly? Good morning, Gayla. Hope all is well. It is, Gayla. Thank you. I hope you're doing well. What causes autism? Is as far as they know, autism has always been here. It's just something that it, for the longest time got, shoved into other categories, and until they started to actually look at, the entire thing. Joseph Mengele, back during the war, and he was studying actually autism to a point. He had singled out children who were different from others. But some of the traits that, when it comes to autism, though, some of the traits that make someone on the spectrum itself also can aid, greatly, in other areas like not those who have savants and stuff like that. Those are very rare, but the same skill set. Hi.
Hey.
No, now you came in here to. You're making noise. You got to come say hello to everybody. The camera's right there at the ring light.
Hey, I'm just getting. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
I'm like a mid sentence, and all of a sudden I stop. I'm like, what?
just getting French toasty sticks with the baby.
Isn't there any in the refrigerator?
No, he ate them all yesterday.
Oh, okay. Gamma says hello.
Hi, chat.
We were talking about autism.
Okay.
Do you know anybody on the spectrum?
You mean besides everyone in our family?
Well, we know at least one is definitely. I can't say that because they haven't given me permission to talk about them, so I won't mention them.
Oh, well, she has it in her public profile, so I think she's okay
Oh,
with.
did she tell me that?
You mean you don't follow your daughter on all of her social media?
No, I don't. You weirdos.
Oh, thank you.
Good morning, lovely. And Gayla, give you a rose.
So nice. I love it. Okay, but yes, you can talk about your eldest. She has it publicly in her.
Well, I didn't know that. And until someone tells me I can, she tells me it might be in her public profile. I won't talk about it until she actually says, yeah, it's all right to, talk about this.
Okay, give us a kiss, dear.
Bye.
Bye.
Now go give the little one for me. Hereditary, but in your case, it's not. Yes, very much so. Particularly when it comes to being passed down from male to male. That's why it's more common. Autism and some, being on the spectrum, some point is a lot more hereditary, from male to male. But they also there's a lot of studies and information out there that when it comes to the actual testing, and for those who are on the spectrum, there's a lot of suggestion that it's not being diagnosed correctly when it comes to females who are on the actual spectrum. I mean, we've all probably known someone in our families that maybe they were people called them a wallflower. They were they kind of kept to themselves. They didn't really interact socially, the way that other people within our families may have. We've all met these people, and these people were most likely somewhere on the spectrum, and we just didn't have the the information and the technology to test people and to properly diagnose them. I'm sorry, Gone Girl. I hope you feel better soon. Was the movie Rain Man accurate? Are there movies that are helpful? When it comes to uh, the character that Dustin Hoffman played in Rain Man, he has what he would be more towards the savant. People would have they used to call it Asperger's syndrome, but a large majority of those who are like myself, who are in and we actually work directly with a lot of people with autism. Asperger's is a term, a diagnosis that we do not get behind. Asperger's again goes back to the Nazis and the actual definition of what Asperger's syndrome is. But he was a savant. Now they're very, very rare that you could be have autism, being on the spectrum, and be a savant, where you can look and see 300 toothpicks on the floor and be able to count them completely accurately. Are there movies that are helpful in understanding? There are some. When it comes to Hollywood, though, you have to understand a lot of things. They kind of play liberal with the different issues with autism. I wish I had something I could go through. I had somewhere around here. I've got a printout of the actual test itself, but no, it's not completely accurate. Dan, just like you said there. Amelia, good morning. I do know somebody with who is a savant, is on the spectrum. But there are also people who are savants who are not on the spectrum as well. But I do know somebody who he can hear a piece of music and he can repeat it perfectly. Play it. He plays the piano, keyboard, and I think he knows like a couple of string instruments as others as well, like guitar or violin. But he just picks it up and just knows. Kind of an interesting spectrum, but he's got so many barriers, and he's got anger issues as well. But we used to work with him through what's called the ARC. Here, it's a nonprofit organization that helps put together services for those who are not just on the spectrum, but all disabilities and barriers to education. But they don't let people volunteer outside from the outside anymore unless you become bonded and insured. So that's why me and my wife stopped volunteering with them. But we can help them in other ways. Jala Hollis, good morning. I don't know right now, Gone Girl. I wouldn't have that information here with me. I would have to look into it and get back to you. I'll fire you an email if I can find a way that the people at large can do it. I know that when it comes to YouTube, I can't even set up a. You'll see like videos where they're raising money for a nonprofit, so people can donate while watching a video. I can't even set it up with them that way. YouTube doesn't list them as a nonprofit because they're not across the world. They're just a local agency. There are other agencies around the world that do basically the same thing. But I will definitely look into it. He's on the spectrum thing. It's a crying shame. He's brewing another pot of coffee. Oh, thank you, Gene. We do our best. Don't trespass on others, and we won't trespass on others as long as people don't trespass on us. We stick to our. Yeah, it's kind of weird, the dynamic of our family. It's like we stay to ourselves a lot. Will the local one help Little Taco? No, not yet, Gone Girl. He's not old enough for the ARC. The ARC is a program that they deal more with those who are 17, through to adulthood. They have other ones that work with younger children, kind of like what we have been doing, with buying headphones and microphones. We're waiting to, for the testing results to get back on that to see if there has been actual gainful, what gains there were with the children that we did help. So we're kind of waiting on that as well. But I got to think about this for a second so I make sure I word this correctly. Here at least where I live in the United States, and in a large majority of the states, for when it comes to those with children, not just autism, but those children, who are out there in the system right now, and I'm talking about grade school age children, from the time of birth to the age of 17, and up until the day before they're 18 in a lot of states, there are a lot of services that are out there for them. But once they become an adult, they're basically kicked out of the system. You finished high school, goodbye. No, all the services stop pretty much at the age of 18. Then there are nonprofits like the ARC who come in and they offer services, and they help them, become independent, get their own apartments, find gainful employment. Because 70% of those who are on the higher end of the spectrum here in the United States, those who are on autism or Down syndrome, those ones, greater than 70% never find long-term gainful, and rewarding employment. So the ARC and other groups like that step in to try to help. Goodwill Industries is another one that steps in and helps out a lot. The Salvation Army does a lot of work as well. Sisters of Mercy, but these are different groups and church organizations that help. From the time when the services stop at 18, going forward for the rest of their lives. You can't just say, okay, well you're done. You're 18. Everything that we could do has been done for you. That's wrong. But it's not just people who are on the spectrum. Harlan, good morning. Dan Aykroyd has Asperger's. I didn't know that, Harlan. I did not know that. It's interesting to know. No, you didn't take over the stream. Neurodivergent. I think everybody has barriers, in life. Some people have more. Some people we can help. Some people we can't. That's the way the world goes, and that's what makes this world, and life interesting. If we were all cut from the same cookie cutter stamp, I mean, life would be boring as heck. But everybody's got their own little part of the giant puzzle. We have to look at the whole puzzle in order to see how we can put it all together. If you just focus in on one little section, you're going to miss the giant picture of it all. What's the latest with Bruce Willis? Isn't he suffering from a brain disorder? Wow, I did not know there was anything going on with Bruce Willis, Gene. I'd have to look into that. I'm sorry, I don't have any information on that. My heart's eyes send you love and comfort. Well, thank you for the information on the topic we want to know more about. Well, thank you. Yes, Go over and give Gemma a subscribe. Subscribe to her content. She does a wonderful job. She's in the UK, by the way, but that doesn't make any difference where she lives. Heading to the dump with 2 loads, so I'll listen. Good morning, Janice. I have to do that next week. I'm the only one besides my sister who lives one town over with a truck. So, and my sister, what would be the best way to describe her truck? It's never seen dirt. Don't know why she owns the truck, except for to haul her horse around. But yeah, that truck has never seen anything. She's never used it to haul even a box of books or anything. It what they call it, a curb queen, the truck or something like that. People who don't ever use it. But I'm always the one that people call to haul yard waste and whenever they need to move or they need something, they bought something and they need to bring it home. I'm the person that they call. But so next weekend I'm going to be doing that, hauling yard waste and stuff from my mother-in-law's and my sisters as well. They cut down some trees. Most of it's going to go be shredded, chipper shredded, turn into like mulch. I hope everything turns out better soon for you, Gemma. Carlino 41, good morning and welcome. I hope you are having a wonderful day. I like a clean yard. So do I. Diana Bowman, good morning. What do you know? I've actually finally stumbled upon your live streams while it's actually happening for once. You caught one a while ago, Harlan. It's been a while though. But I'm glad you could be here this morning. I do these every Saturday morning at the same time. I'm just glad I could actually do the live stream this morning because this morning when I woke up, I didn't have any internet. I couldn't do a live stream. It was supposed to be done at 7 o'clock, but they were a little bit late, about 45 minutes. So about 15 minutes before 8, they finally came back online. I think the letter they sent us said something about they're upgrading equipment or something like that. Because where we live, we're outside of town. We're not in town. So when it comes to like services like internet or cable or satellite TV, it takes a while for people to get to us when they're doing things like that. It's like I think it's going to be 2 years from like last summer, and they're upgrading the sewer and water pipes themselves, and so it's going to take 2 years before they get to us. Do you make breakfast for everyone? Not today. Not today, Francie. We do. A lot on the weekends. My sister and her kids will come over, and we have like a big family gathering. We make breakfast. Everybody chips in and helps make it. Usually, my sister will bring something like cinnamon rolls or something like that, and we'll make bacon and eggs and hash browns. But not this weekend. Everybody's too busy. Touche, sir. Touche. MCD. Properly clean a yard. My backyard dead. Like all of it, the grass is all brown. Whole thing died. That was my fault. Luckily, it's not my front yard, but my backyard. We had what do they call it, Bermuda grass that was coming. It was popping up in a couple areas in the backyard, and I wanted to put down a I don't know, Bermuda grass killer, it's pesticide. Yeah, but I had to use granules because we have bees. So I went to go put the granules down, and I read the instructions wrong. So instead of putting the amount that I was supposed to put on the lawn at one ratio, I put the ratio of enough to basically cover like 20 backyards. I did it wrong, and it killed everything, killed all the grass. So it's all dead. That was my fault. You don't know what Bermuda grass is? Um, Kind of like you know how annoying crabgrass is. Do you have crabgrass in your area, Amelia? Okay. That sounds good, but I can't eat chocolate. Oh, the devil grass. Bermuda grass is it's an annoying invasive grass, just like crabgrass. I'm not horticulturist. I mean I don't know what it's invasive. I didn't want it in my lawn, and I killed it. Oh, I killed it all. It's gone. Of course, I also killed the rest of the lawn too. Glowworm, good morning. Just got on. How's it going? Pretty good, Glowworm. How are you? Glad you could be here with us this morning. Pretty good. Man, why is it thing? It's like the chat's like froze and then it jumped all the way to the bottom. Bruce Willis was diagnosed with, how do you pronounce that? Asthenia disorder. It's a language disability where you can't speak. It's very sad. Wow, I did not know that. Well, pray for Bruce Willis. I don't know anything about it, but I hope it there's some kind of treatment or something for it. Hope he's not suffering too bad. All good. Weather is better, so I'm better. Well, it's good. I'm in New Zealand. One of my wife's favorite channels is their YouTube creators that are in New Zealand. Christmas decorations are for sale at Walmart already. Yikes! Wow. Bermuda grass, when nothing else will grow. Oh, Bermuda grass will definitely grow. Or you don't want it to work hard at a lush lawn. Yeah, but we don't know where it came from. The part that really gets us is so I have a neighbor on both sides, and then I have one empty lot that's directly behind us. But there's a home there, but it's an empty lot. So it, so here's my house. I have a neighbor here. I have a neighbor here. and then road here. There's an empty lot, and then there's a home, but there's nothing here except for it's a maintenance building, and then over here is so the street goes this way, and then it curves up and around. It's kind of a wide arc, so it's flat with an arc like this, and that's why there's an empty lot between me and the next house. But nobody around us has Bermuda grass. We don't know where it came from. It just popped up in my backyard, not my front yard. I don't have to take care of my front yard. The front yard is the HOA. We pay a monthly fee, and they mow the front yard and they trim it and do all that for us. So I didn't have to take care of that. I haven't mowed my lawn for years. I have a Lamborghini lawnmower. That's cool. But I was telling you, one of my wife's favorite creators groups there's more than one person, but it's Viva La Dirt League. They're from New Zealand. They're YouTubers. They do all kinds of different skits, and stuff like that. Viva La Dirt League. Here we go with Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Ride the train. We never took down our Christmas tree from last year. It's still up in our living room right now. It's got all the decorations on it. Obviously, it's a fake tree, but we never took it down. And as my son makes artwork and stuff like that at school, the refrigerator's already covered in artwork. So some of the things that he makes, we take a safety pin and a piece of string, tie it to it, and we just put it on the tree. Gravel for lawn. In a lot of places they should. I mean, we spend so much time and water and and everything else to keep these well manicured lawns, especially in the West. Water conservation is something we really need to pay attention to. So a gravel lawn is a good idea. My sister lives in Colorado, and they don't have any gravel yard or anything else. It's just basically dirt, and then they have the plants that they have. It's like wild grass, I guess you'd call it. I don't know. It grows really tall, but it doesn't need a lot of water. But they use landscaping that is basically minimalist for the area. It looks nice. I wouldn't put it in my yard, but it looks nice there. There's a clip of it on YouTube. Should totally check out. I thought it was awesome. It's not even one of my favorite Nine Inch Nail songs, but it was really good, really cool with the slightly adjusted new approach. That's right. I forgot about that. Harlan, you're a Nine Inch Nails fan. So is my wife, a huge Nine Inch Nails fan. That and Atticus Ross, and a lot of Trent Reznor's side projects. She's a huge fan of the music. I think when it comes to Nine Inch Nails, I don't think there's anything better than Pretty Hate Machine. That's my favorite album by Nine Inch Nails. That or Downward Spiral. But we have a couple discs that we always keep in the car. Amelia, I like Nine Inch Nails. Nine Inch Nails is, I think, Trent Reznor, is a very talented individual in his own right. Make it a year-round tree and tell your son he can put up that holiday decorations. Tamara, good morning. It is, and we didn't take the tree down because well, first off, we're kind of lazy, and it's a real pain in the behind to take down because each and every limb it folds out, to make the actual tree, so it's a straight branch and everything folds out from it's all on a hinge. It's so hard to put together to make it look good because coming out of the box, it's like it looks kind of like the Charlie Brown Christmas tree as opposed to a tree you really want until you move them all out and then all the branches that fold out in different directions on the tree, they're what do they call it, a memory metal or something like that. It's made out of a metal that you can bend. It'll hold into one place, and then if you bend it back, straight, it'll slowly curve back to it. Yeah, we didn't buy the tree. We got it from a family friend, and I think she spent close to like $600 in this thing. It was a really expensive tree, but yeah, it's not fun to take down and put back into the box. Put it that way. So we just left it up, and it's in the corner of our living room, so it's not like it's in the way. They performed at Red Rocks recently and did a really cool version of "Every Day Is Exactly the Same" with tambourine, and you and your wife should really check it out. Red Rock Amphitheater. The aspen tree leaves are turning yellow, autumn in the air. Wow, that'd be cool to see. Right about now, it's time to go back east, Maine, Virginia, and see the changing of fall colors. I've seen it one time. It was in New England, and I was in New England, and we went up to Maine. Yep, in Denver. Also my favorite album. Then Hesitation Marks, then Downward Spiral, then Fragile. Fragile's a good album. I love how Trent Reznor at one point he gave everybody the code and told people not to steal his music, but here's how you do it if you're gonna do it anyways. I don't know who that is. There's somebody at my front door. You're making me smile so much. You're making me feel a lot better. Thank you for being amazing. Oh, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. New Zealand species trees stay green year round. With Teeth, his first sober album. I don't know if I've listened to With Teeth, Harlan. I may have. I'm sure my wife has it. I just I either listen to them in a car or she's playing it in the house somewhere. It's kind of when it comes to like music and my son, he's either listening to Katy Perry or he's listening to Rammstein, but he refuses to listen to Rammstein in English. It's got to be in German for him. I don't know why, but he will not listen to the English versions. He hates them. But it's either he's all over the board, or he listens to Little Nas, or Childish Gambino. That's Daniel Glover, the actor comedian who was on Parks and Recreation. But his musical side, he calls himself Childish Gambino. Good morning, Roy Card. Elizabeth O'Brien, good morning as well. Any updates on Chris Watts? LOL. The last YouTube I saw on him was he was ordering from the prison store. Nothing when it comes to Christopher Watts. Nothing is new really about him. He's just going to rot away in prison for the rest of his life. I try to avoid the actual subject, but if it comes across my desk and it's something I feel is newsworthy, I'll make a video content about it. Pretty talented. Valkyrie. I like Rammstein German and English. There you go. And good morning and welcome. Welcome to this morning's. I hope you pronounce it. Is it Valkyrie? Oreen? Bulgarine J. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. I saw something about Avril Lavigne. Amelia, cool. Evergreen trees stay green all year round, lush. But I don't know why. What's wrong with Chris Watt? How is he different from us? Besides that he murdered his family? I mean, I haven't murdered my family. I've never had an affair on my wife. So I guess he's different in that way as well. Will, do you like Def Leppard? Angela, to tell you the truth, no. I've never been a fan of Def Leppard. Now, I do have 2 of their albums down here. I do have, 2 of their albums. But it was never my cup of tea. And so, and ever since I told my best friend that I don't like Def Leppard, it's not my choice of music. Every time Tim is here, he makes a point to always play Def Leppard. Friends like him, who needs enemies? I'm joking about that. Chris Watts will not rot in prison for the rest of his days. There's a special place in hell for people like him, like Christopher Watts. And you remember when I first attended one of your chats and suggested you check out a song called Nursery Rhymes by People's Choice? Yes, I remember that. It's been a while, Harlan. What did you think? Did you end up thinking about it? I actually liked it. Funky. It was a funky old song. Yeah, I remember that, Harlan. It was a while ago. I definitely looked it up and listened to it. I thought it was good. But the drummer of Def Leppard has got one arm. That is true. One arm, Bloodhound Gang. But the band, the Bloodhound Gang. Or sort of different connection there. Back in 2015, I was at Red Rocks and people were giving away pot brownies. They were fun. Yeah. Heard Pentatonics. They're mostly pop. It's a crunchy cement shoes. Good morning. I literally just woke up. Well, good morning and welcome to this morning's stream. I hope you've been doing well or getting better. Def Leppard, seen them 3 times live in concert. I would have to sit down, Gene, and actually see if I ever saw Def Leppard. I don't think I have. I mean, in the 80s, I've seen just about every, in early, from like 80 to 1999. I mean, I saw just about every large, band out there. Were they playing at one of like the different rock, concerts where they had like a main stage and a secondary stage? I couldn't tell you. But right now, off the top of my head, I don't think I ever saw Def Leppard. And it was tragic that the drummer lost his arm. And I think it was an accident, motorcycle accident or car accident or something like that. But he still does it, today. One foot works the bass, and the other foot works the other, ones that that he would have used, to hit the drums with the other hand. The drummer from Def Leppard lost his arm in a car accident. Okay, seatbelt cut it off. I thank you. I knew it was some kind of accident. I wonder if Chris Watts might have a professional diagnosis. As far as I know, Francie, he has refused up to this point to be medicated to the point where beyond just a cursory, medical exam, he's never sat down with a criminologist or a psychotherapist. So I don't think he's on any type of medication for any mental health issues at all. But I could be wrong about that. He may have seen them. I know that there's some people who keep on visiting him besides family and friends and religious what you call them. It's not like he's seen a priest or a pastor. They've been different ones from different churches who've come and visited him. At least the last time I checked, because you can go online and to the Dodge correction online, the website, and if you have his prison ID number, which is easy to find online, you can request a copy of his visitation log. We usually see local bands at local bars, parks, and local venues, mostly free. But of course, we had to get tickets to see Weird Al when he came to town. Weird Al Yankovic. Interesting story on how he got started. He sent in a demo tape, cassette of music to the Dr. Demento show, if anybody remembers that syndicated show. But he sent it in, and they're like, this is just some weird stuff. It was him playing the accordion and in some of his earlier skit, versions of songs. Dr. Demento. That was a nationally syndicated show on the radio, along with. I remember when I was younger, so we would have Casey Kasem, in the weekly top 40, and then right after Casey Kasem in the weekly top 40, we'd also have, then it was Dr. Demento, then it was Wolfman would come on after that. So there were like three nationally syndicated shows that were back to back to back. That was pre MTV, way before MTV. Cause I remember when MTV first came out, the first person we went over to a friend's house and we all sat there because we knew that MTV was a thing, and only I think it went off the air at like 10 o'clock at night, and we were all just sitting there transfixed on this music television. Look at the Ohio massacre, 8 people murdered, and Angela Wagner only got 30 years in prison term. Live bootleg recordings. I used to go to a place in downtown Minneapolis. It was called the 1st Street and 7th Street Entry. It's still there to this day, but half of it is there. It's directly across from the Greyhound bus terminal now, and most of that area has been redeveloped for parking for the Minnesota Timberwolves, the NBA basketball team. But I used to go there, and I'd see 10, 12 bands on a Friday night, Saturday night, another 10, 12 bands. So you'd see 20 bands, in a weekend. It was reasonably cheap. On the one side, you'd see a lot of heavy metal, rock, punk music, that played in the 7th Street side, and then on the First Avenue side, you'd see like the bigger bands like the Dead Milkmen, Guar, and whenever they had the concert tour Monsters of Rock, whenever they came into town, they'd play at the Hubert H. Humphrey Dome, which was down the street, and some bands would come there and play, music from their upcoming albums and stuff like that. Electric Fetus in Minneapolis has awesome music selection. Yes, well, 7th Street Entry and First Avenue are still great for concerts. Harlan, I couldn't tell you just how many different bands over the years I've seen there. At the you can stand outside of on the wall, and they have different names of all the different bands who played there. That's not all of them. I mean, that's some of a large majority of them. But that's the first place I ever went and saw Husker Du. Bob Ball, his band Husker Du, and the Land Speed record, and then he slowly progressed from punk to rock, to pop music, and there's quite a few documentaries that you can watch on YouTube about the First Avenue 7th Street entry. A lot of great bands have played there over the years. Head East was playing in Kansas City, where my buddy lives, flat as a pancake. Head East, the band, I've got their album down here. The one with it's got a pickup truck and there's a bunch of like hay or something piled in the back of it. I can picture the album cover. I can't see it. It's over here on the shelf, on the bottom. Head East. Cool song. Uncle Surf. I saw that your community post about Uncle Surf this morning, Gemma. Uncle Surf. Good morning and welcome. Rang his bell. Had the pleasure of getting to see some artists perform in both 7th Street Entry and the First Avenue, i.e. Atmosphere, Brawley Alley, and The Revolution. Yeah, one of these days I'm going to sit down, Harlan, and I'm going to write out a list of all the different bands that I've seen there, and I've seen a lot. I mean, I damn near lived there for so long. I mean, if I wasn't at First Street or 7th Street Entry, I was skateboarding somewhere in downtown Minneapolis. We lived in the actual suburbs. I lived in St. Louis Park, which is a suburb of Minneapolis. And then we moved from there to Edina. From Edina, then we moved to St. Paul. And in St. Paul, I lived right next to the across there. I could walk out my front yard. And there's obviously this yard. Then there's a street. Then there's a train tracks, and the Capitol was right there. But was there another massacre again? Friend here on YouTube, he has been supportive since the beginning. He has helped me with my recent issues. Well, that's cool. I'm glad there's somebody out there who can help you. It's good to have allies, especially online. I have to take my grandson to work. Hope you all have a wonderful day. You too, okie dokie. And thank you for stopping this morning. Love to exchange concert stories, his favorite albums, input with you. I live in St. Paul most of my life. In Roseville, though, right now, Roseville. That's cool. Well, we still have a family farm, across the border in Wisconsin, in Prescott. Will, do you think prisoners can change for the better while she is in prison? Some can. Some, obviously, if they're, I don't want to say that they're hardened, but some, it's just like every people out here in society. Some people learn from their mistakes and they don't do it again, and other people don't. It's the same thing with prisoners. Former inmates, um, like Joe Guerrero. He used to run the After Prison show here on YouTube. He's obviously made a huge turnaround from his life of crime. He owns a painting business now. He's had several different ventures over the years, a moped rental business, a moving company, flipped houses for a short spell, but now he paints for a living. But he's expecting his first kid, and he's married and has his own home. He's obviously made a change. You know, Mr. Death over at 23-1, he's made a huge come up in his life and changed his background. Like where his life trajectory was going. So got some beautiful spots. I used to ride my motorcycle down Highway 61 on Minneapolis, Minnesota side. Would cross over to Prescott and then ride down Wisconsin side and across back over in Lake City. That's cool. I miss being home. Yeah, but such is life, Harlan. I fell in love with a lady who was never going to move from this area. So COVID kind of put a squash to me, going back home. Because every year in June, I would take off from the 1st of June to the end of June and just travel the United States. But I'd go back home and, kind of like center myself to be there, and just relax. Life here moves so much faster than it does there. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. It's just a completely different type of life. Arrowhead Stadium had the Monsters of Rock, Metallica, Scorpions, Doc, and Van Halen. Opened in 1988. Get therapy for mental health, Francie? Some places, yes. Other places, no. When it comes to mental health services for inmates, some offer, classes from everything from, how to transition back out into, society after their time is up. Some offer educational classes where they can get their GEDs or a college degree and an associate's degree. That some prisons offer trade school certificates so they can learn a skill so they don't have to commit crime once they're released. And then there's the complete opposite side, Francie, where they house the prisoner, they get absolutely the bare minimum, and then when they are done with their sentence, they open the door and just kick them back out onto the street and say, "Good luck," because they know the revolving door of the prison system. They'll be right back within a couple of years. So there's the good and there's the bad, and it's never ending. I thought they ended the college stuff in prison. It's a crying shame. They have, for a large part, most prisoners, depending on what state, they're not eligible for Pell Grants anymore, federal financial aid. So they either have to pay for it themselves, or they have to, the family has to pay for it. Some prisons allow. I know, like I'm in Washington State at Walla Walla prison. The prison, it's a state prison that's in Walla Walla, Washington. They have educational classes that an inmate can take, but they can't get Pell Grants for it. So they have a program where if you work, you can earn the ability to get free education. So you have a job. Maybe your job is making license plates. So your actual work will help pay for the education that you want to get. Oh, wonder if Chris Watts is getting therapy. God knows he needs it. No, Francie, I don't think he is. The Head East album, uh, one of the many I have. I've got Gene. I have close to about 200, 225 albums. Um, what's in here on these two bookshelves that you can't see because the camera's over here pointed at me, is this is only a part of my collection. I've got everything from Jan and Dean surf music to Donovan. He's kind of, they call him the British version of Bob Dylan. I've got oh, I've got a little bit of everything. I've got punk, metal, bands. I've got albums from them. I've got some that where the band released them and it's just a white plain cover, no artwork to it at all, and then the band broke up later after releasing this, the short press, I guess demos. Dealing with health problems. Unfortunately, obviously, i.e., TBI, traumatic brain injury, left leg amputated, amongst the forensics of other problems, is what it is, I guess. Roll with the punches. I'm a TBI survivor as well. It sucks. My long term memory, Harlan, is like Swiss cheese. How I like to refer to it to explain to people. I have large gaps, like Swiss cheese holes in my past. I'll never be able to understand them or fill in like how the hell do I know this person? And I'm like, I have a guy who lives across the street from me. I'll tell you this, how much of a bad memory I have long term. I supposedly went to high school with the guy. Um, he has memories of all kinds of different things that that we did throughout high school together, with groups of friends and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't remember any of this. I don't remember him. I don't remember at all. I have no memory of him, at all. And so I actually got out my yearbook, and sure, he wasn't messing with me. He signed my yearbook back in high school, and I'm like, Jesus, I don't remember him. No recollection of him at all. But every time he sees me, it's like, hey, how's it going, man? And we'll sit there and talk for a while, and I'm just like, yeah, I have no idea. He's a complete stranger to me. He's a nice guy, though. Trauma causes Swiss cheese memory. Yeah. Give you the short version of it, Harlan. Um, December 12th, 2002 is when I got my head injury. A coworker where I was working at the time tried to kill me. He came up from behind me, hit me with it. It looks like a piece when we actually watched the video, and it's scary as hell to watch. It looks like it's a piece of rebar. He hit me in the back of the head. I fell next to my buddy's truck, and then he grabbed the bed of the, onto the bed of the truck and started jumping up and down on my head over and over again until my friend got out of the truck and came around and then got him off of me. That's the short version. There's a lot more to it than that, but my life changed forever that day. Crazy Kids Vlogs. Good morning and welcome. Prison environment is not good for people with disabilities. They have to serve their time in local communities. Where you are, that'd be good. Prison's not for everyone, even if those who commit crimes. But here in America, we sentence people to seriously long sentences because got to get tough on crime. People who commit minor offenses. Dealing marijuana 3 times, 3 strikes, you're out. We lock people up, for extended periods of times, destroy families over small, insignificant crimes. Yes, it's a crime. They should be punished. Yes, they should have to, they broke the law. They knew they were breaking the law. Ooh, garage sales. Tamara, you should get together with my daughter and my wife. They love yard sales. Ate at McDonald's for the first time in months, and now my tummy hurts. You're a challenging individual. You like the high risk there. It's a crying shame. I won't eat that stuff. My friends do. My wife does, but I can't. I can't do it. I don't. I had my gallbladder removed. I can't eat fatty foods. Like I would love to eat some fried chicken. Oh my God, I would love to eat some fried chicken. but I can't because I know within 15 minutes of eating it, might as well just go to the bathroom and just stay there. So I have to watch, what kind of fatty foods and stuff like that I eat and how much I eat. But McDonald's always messes me up. My TBI is from car hitting a deer the size of my car a few years ago. I'm sorry, Tamara. I did not know that. Lori and Chad are also child killers who deserve no mercy. This is true. Yeah, they murdered JJ, Tylee, Tammy, Charles, and I'm gonna have to throw Joseph in there, even though they never laid hands to actually kill Joseph. Lori slowly killed him in his spirit, and that's what eventually was one of the factors that that took Joseph's life. Well, I'm a new member again on your channel. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Vegan fried chicken is pretty good. Not fried, you bake it. I've never had vegan fried chicken. My daughter is a vegetarian, and she eats those like chick patties and stuff like that from Morning Star. I've never had any of that stuff, but I think they killed Alex too. Yeah, I don't know about Alex. I think Alex was. I think he knew that the gig was up, and I'm not sure what he actually did there or how the circumstances around. I know that Zamora found him, in the bathroom unconscious, but I think he knew the gig was up and probably took it, something. But I've never really looked into it. But I'm almost 100% sure that he was the one, who actually killed JJ and Tylee, and he did it at the request of Chad and Lori. One of my Facebook groups was discussing there were a lot of crimes not mentioned in the Netflix documentary. They probably had to leave some of out in order to get people to talk. Are you talking about the Lori Vallow's the accounting of Kobe? Was it Crimes of My Mother or something like that? I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if I ever will. I know it's like a 3-part series. You think Zamora Zalua, or whatever the hell her name is, do you think she killed him? She may have. She definitely had a lot more involved in that. That's one of the things that I'm really curious about, because there is a lot of text messages back and forth between Lori and her about how they could, they got rid of Charles, they could get the money. And I'm like, that looks like premeditation. Like, she was involved in the entire thing, and was leading Lori, and helping her get to the point of like, getting rid of Charles. Why she hasn't been arrested and why she's not sitting in jail right next to him is beyond me. Well, you have 9 lives and a guardian angel. Well, thank you, Super Chat Cat, and good morning. Will, isn't Gary Ridgway in Walla Walla? He was, Gene. He's been moved. He's not in Walla Walla anymore. Just before they actually moved him, it was the last time he wrote me. It was just before he got moved. I want to say he's in New Mexico, or maybe he's in Colorado. He's somewhere. They moved him some. He's still out west here, but he's not in Walla Walla Penitentiary anymore. It's cringing. How did she kill Alex? I thought he drank the Kool-Aid. Some suggest COVID for Alex. I don't know. I think if I had to put an actual guess out there, I cannot prove this at all, but I think that with the circumstances around how Tammy died and how they killed her, I think that it had to do something with either cyanide or something along those lines. Alex would have been peeved. You had a personal writing experience with Jerry Ridgway. That has to have been quite an experience. I would imagine, sir. He wouldn't talk about his crimes though. He talked about gardening, flowers, the changing of the seasons. Um, we exchange 4 letters back and forth. You know, like a normal sheet of notebook paper, you have lines on it. He would write so small, so there'd be 2 lines to running in between each the line and a line in that section, and he'd have 2 sentences running along. So I mean, they're really packed full of letters. So and on both sides, he filled the entire paper up. What's wrong, different about people who kill their own children? The whole class of psychology right there, Francie. It was definitely mental illness, but it's a different type of. I can't really speak on it. I mean, I've got the textbooks out here, over here. My wife was the one who actually studies and is working towards her doctorate in psychology, which is going to be great because her new employer will actually pay up to 40% of her education cost to go back and finish up her degree, which is really cool. It's actually through the union is actually helping, but she has to wait until next year. So we got what, 3 months left, right? Yeah. So it'd be like in January sometime. She'll be able to go back to school and finish up her degree. Very interesting and cool. You would get into experience of the normal side of someone so not so normal. Yeah. A lot of people write these inmates. Some of them will write back, and others will they'll just ignore you completely. Tim Mormon, the Mormon religion itself teaches multiple lives, multiple probations, celestial families. Did not know that. I knew part of that, but not all of that, Tamara. The closest I ever got to the Mormon church was back in the 80s. They came to my home to talk about the Mormon church and the LDS church and everything else. And they had a VHS tape that we watched, and it had the guy who played Arthur Carlson on WKRP in Cincinnati. That was a TV show, but it was him, and he was talking about on the videotape about the LDS church and the Joseph Smith and all that stuff. That's the closest I ever came to the Mormon church. That and taking pictures of a lot of them. Some of their temples are super cool. Have you ever tried or been able to communicate with the POS Warren Jeffs? No, I haven't, Harlan. I don't think I'd want to. You loved WKRP? Johnny Fever. Johnny Fever was my favorite. That and Les Nessman, the news guy, weather. Les, a bumbling fool. I loved watching WKRP. It was a good show. Afterlife, and they'll all be better off. Dead people don't talk. Blame Alex for killing the children, except they got caught. They had to hide the stuff from the LDS church. Church cats, they knew they'd be banned from it. Well, I know that they both of them started off in the LDS church, with their religion, and then they veered off into another area, of doomsday prophecy, along with the church, and they talked to an awful lot of people before they ever got to the point of killing, Tammy, and the children, and Joseph and Alex and all of them. I mean, but there were a lot of people who went to religious study groups with Lori and Chad, when before they relocated, before they went to Idaho and back in Arizona, she was still talking to people about their belief system. I'm just tired that they never. There's Why is the case taking so long to get to trial? That Lori and Chad. What are we going on? 3 years now? I mean, it's going to be what Lori's case is coming up first, and then Chad's is sometime in 2023. But farther down the road, it's like, why is it taking so long to get justice for all of them that were murdered? Chad and his books. Lori was obsessed with Chad, number one groupie. Yeah, she even set up a fake email account to entice him to come and stay at her home when she was still married to Charles. And come write your new book at my house. Trying to get, she's married and sitting next to her husband. She set up a fake email address to try to entice Chad to her home so he could write his next book there. The whole case is crazy. There's a lot that hasn't. I'm hoping it comes out in the trial, but Will the Daybell case isn't that long compared to a lot of cases. Some are over 10 years before they go to trial. Adex Federal Prison complex for El Chapo and others. It's massive underground chambers. Wow. El Chapo. There's a name I haven't seen in a while. El Chapo, how many billions of dollars did he make smuggling drugs? Nah, Laura's family and the LDS entrenched. Lori, Millen, etc., milked the LDS system. Who was the most standout bad guy or POS person you've personally experienced communicating with, and why? Harlan, the answer to that question would have to be on a personal level. And the sole reason why I started this YouTube channel, it comes right down to that. Me and my wife, but well, obviously, way before we ever started dating and got married, we had a friend who was murdered by another acquaintance. And he to this day, he's never shown even a tiny bit of remorse. He could care less about anyone. I mean, I really truly think the man is a psychopath. But he convinced, so he goes to prison. He's in prison for over 20 years. He gets out, and then he convinces another one of our friends to marry him. And now they live a life completely cut off from everyone. Her family, his family, everyone. They live in a nearby town, and they never talk to anyone anymore. And he has completely isolated her. And when the few conversations that I've had with him and her, it's been the darkest, scariest conversations I've ever had. I tried to get him, to sit down and do an interview for this, for this channel. He won't do it because I'm 100% sure the reason why is because everybody be like, oh my God, this guy he's a psychopath. He has zero empathy for anyone or for any situation. For what he did to our friend and how he dumped his body in the desert, and the circumstances behind how he actually committed the crime itself. So that would be the answer to that question, Harlan. A parakeets? But Harlan, back to that though, to answer the question of how I got involved and I started this YouTube channel was me and my friend who is it's kind of weird. My friend John and myself wanted to go to the parole hearing when this POS was coming up for parole. We wanted to refresh our memories. Again, we went through everything from the first, the guy tried to hide in my basement of my house after he killed my friend. He came to my house and said, "Hey, the police are looking for me. Can I hide in your basement?" And I was like, "Oh, hell no, you're not going to come and hide in my basement." But anyways, we were there from that moment before he actually murdered him, through the trial, through the sentencing, and then we're trying to put the pieces of our lives back together when something that close to you happens. But I wanted to refresh my memory, and so did my friend John. Before we went to the parole hearing to petition that they don't release him, and everything that I could remember about the case, 20 some years later on, everything I could find online was just bits and pieces. And Google kept on suggesting to me over and over again these videos on YouTube about the case. And I'm like, we live in such a small area. I don't know how anybody and what the interest would really be. But I avoided watching the videos and I read as many news articles as I could. And then finally, I clicked on one of the Google suggested videos. And everything was a complete lie. Everything about my friend who was murdered, his background, who he was, where he got the money, this other guy, killed him, supposedly for. And that was what he was after. They even lied about the guy who actually committed the crime and where he came from. And it wasn't one video. It was just about every video. It was like one person made the lie and put it out there on the internet, and then all these other channels and creators, they just copied what the first person said. And did any of them do any actual research? Did any of them even bother to check if it was factually correct? No. So I'm sitting there and I was absolutely livid. I mean, I was probably as red as a tomato, just bright red, and with anger over watching these videos, and I could not let it go. I sat there, and then I walked up to my wife, who was other side of the living room, and I said, "I'm going to make a video about what happened to our friend, and I'm going to make sure that the facts of this case are out there, and that everybody knows that the victim was not responsible for being murdered." And so I made that video to tell the world, to give them the absolute facts of who he was, what this POS did, this POS was, how he was connected to him, and everything else. I laid it all out in the video, and no one watched it. I think after like 3 months, and after the parole hearing, I think I maybe had a dozen, views. And I mean, almost no one, because I was a new channel. I had no subscribers. I had nothing. So obviously, I couldn't know the facts. And I laid it out, with photographs that were private photos of us and our friend, photos of us at the courthouse going through the sentencing, our witness and victim statements. I laid it all out in the video, and nobody wanted to watch it because, again, I had no subscribers. If you see a new channel pop up, a brand new channel that just started tomorrow, and they're telling you about, the facts in a case, would you believe them, and would they be as credible if they had no subscribers as opposed to if they had a million subscribers? And see, that's why I've never asked anybody for a dime. All I've ever asked people to do is just subscribe, because it adds to the credibility, and it supports my work, and then that pushes it out to more people for every person who subscribes. So nobody wanted to watch it, and that's how I started this, with a gear towards making sure the facts get out there and are, laid out in front of people. People don't, they may not like it. I come off as dry, I'm boring. I mean, I'm definitely not in the age demographic for a YouTube creator. A lot of people are like, "Hey, you're way too old to be a YouTuber." A lot, I mean, I would say all of my friends, but I'd say a large majority of them think that I'm just, I'm a couple screws loose, and I am. I am a couple screws loose. You know, I'm trying to push my content out to, and make sure people see it, and and understand it. But I have a different perspective on stories that a lot of people, a lot of younger creators don't have. They don't have the life experience where they can add to it. They haven't been in contact with Gary Ridgway, or had someone in their life murdered who was a close friend. I mean, I wouldn't say that he was my best friend, but he was a damn close friend, to both me and my wife, and totally separate, in social situations and everything else. But I don't know, maybe it rings true to people, maybe it doesn't, but it's a passion. We just want to know what is the judge and the prosecutor actually being accused of, from John Pryor, Chad attorney. All right, Gene, in a nutshell, the when it comes to that case, there is a private group of, like Facebook group, where the judge, the prosecutor, Mr. Woods, and a couple other people within the court system were part of this actual group, and they may have violated certain standards, by posting to it and talking about the case in a private group. That's what really pissed off Mr. Pryor. He's made other allegations, but a lot of it's not true. Excuse me. Two brain surgeries, and they have mental issues. I'm also epileptic. I got that from it as well. That was a joyful side effect of all of it. Epilepsy doesn't stop me from living my life. Uh, David, if you're here right now, I'll email you back later, about the Kylie Rodney case. And I have the document that you wanted, or I'll give you the link to where you can actually print it off yourself if you're here. And I don't know if I haven't seen your name pop up on the chat, but I'm going to be taking off here, very soon, ladies and gentlemen. You're not boring. You're awesome. Love you, Will. Thank you for being you. Well, thank you. Bet my left too. The Doomsday trial will get moved from January 9th to John Pryor wants to expose the Facebook, comments made by the Judge Boyce and about chat. Yeah, I think that, there's a lot more that's going on behind the scenes here, and I have a real issue with Judge Boyce, making sealing so many records, and then having so many closed door meetings, conversations, ladies and gentlemen, Instead of saying we're going to have a closed door meeting with all all the attorneys, where the public is not there to watch it or hear it or read the transcript of it, that is wrong by not only the U.S. Supreme Court's decision, but decisions by the Idaho State Supreme Court that you can't do that, and it's against the our rights as the public, the free and open courts. But they didn't have meetings; they had conversations. Like whatever. Why, Will? Why what? Right, Cart? Why am I taking off? I have to get going. You're the only one who's going to talk about, and so thank you for that. I respect that. I'm good. Tina, good morning. Cement shoes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have to take off here. I really appreciate everyone stopping in this morning and being here with me this morning while I ramble on. Enjoyed being able to be part of this live chat. It is hard for me to keep up chatting with you guys, the TBI, but trying. LOL. Really enjoyed getting to talk to everyone. Well, good, Harlan. Again, I'll be every single Saturday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so adjust that to where you are. So I think you're 3 hours difference from where I am. I always screw that up, Harlan. When I have to call back home to talk to my sisters, I totally screwed up. I'm either is it 3 hours earlier or 3 hours later? It's later. I'm almost 100% sure of that. So when I call them at like 9 o'clock my time, well, let's just say that my sisters are normally in bed. I forget that all the time. But anyways, thank you again, everyone. I hope you all have a great weekend, and week ahead. And thank you again for being here.